what I want to
Where do you want to
explore
go?
with you today is, remember I sent you that the thing I had written, and it's about ADHD in society, in groups, and our experience. And it kind of, when I wrote that, I wrote a whole document, which I was thinking maybe it'd be an article or maybe be the beginnings of a book or something, because I was exploring my subjective experience of getting kicked out of groups a bunch, not finding acceptance and inclusion in groups over and over and over again, and thinking like, this probably isn't just me.
Yeah.
I'm going to put the light in there, but that's what I want to explore with you today.
Okay.
Because I think other people are having that experience. I don't think it's just me.
Oh, no. I think that's true, but I think it's, it's birthed certainly the neurodiversity space in the last 10 years. But, I was looking at the neurodiversity space, and we didn't call it that. We called it neurodevelopmental theory in the 90s, which is how the brain develops along the lines of learning. Everyone has their own unique differences, just like you do with hair color, height, and weight. So to me, it's it's an inclusion effort where we all need to, man, you got all the little, these are great little tricks.
Oh, we just got to light up the space.
Oh, I know. So yeah, happy to talk about the inclusion, group, rejection, aspect.
Heck yeah. Well, I've just experienced so much of it. I imagine you have, and I imagine a lot of people out there have.
Yep.
They've experienced discomfort or isolation or exclusion or just difficulty in groups.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting, Phil, because it all starts with, I think, when you just don't feel right. You don't really know what it is. You may not be able to put a name to it. You're in a group, but something feels off. Right. And so it starts with your intuition. See, this is what a lot of people don't get sometimes, particularly on the ADHD or even neurodiversity spectrum, is that our intuition just gets shattered, in early life. And so our sense to be able to trust ourselves about what we know or what we feel in a situation when something's off.
Yeah.
And so when you can rebirth, reconnect, reorient that, rebalance that, de-traumatize that, desensitize it.
Well, I'm probably sensitive. I probably do.
You are.
I have a lot of my receptors.
Right.
And I've thought about this. I think, who is it that wrote about this? It might have been Daniel Goleman and his stuff about emotional intelligence.
Right.
Where he talks about, if you've experienced, like I was raised with a temperamental stepdad who would just like that, fly off the handle, and it'd be really chaotic and scary and violent at times. So being exposed to that environment over time, I think, gave me a really sensitive radar for threat.
Sure. So that's one layer of it. So it gives you a sensitive, hyper-vigilant radar for threat. Okay.
Am I safe?
Okay. But what if you came out of the womb like that?
That's
just
true.
a higher sensitivity from picking things up, artist, higher degree on the sensitivity spectrum regarding all the sensory integration issues in the body. What if you were that way and you get your ass kicked? So
we're talking nature and nurture. Some people have it through a nature path. Some people have it through a nurture path, and some people have it through both.
Right. And I think, is it worth it to try to pull them apart? Maybe
no,
maybe
you
not.
either got it or you don't.
Right. And the reality is you still have to live with it. You still want to go back into how do you live a dynamic life in a way that really works for you, that's not about purposing it for other people. So this is where you get back into the group piece again. It's like, okay, wait a minute. I want to be part of a group. I want to be myself. So there are norms within any group, right? You do any mammal, animal system.
We need to be in groups.
Yeah, we need to be in groups, and we need to be ourselves.
Humans are meant to be in groups.
Right.
We were designed and developed. There's this book called The Social Leap, A Social Leap by William von Hippel, I think is his name. And it's all about how we were able to evolve. We were able to succeed in different environments because of our ability to work together.
Right. So that interrelatedness of our being, we're connected to each other. And I don't know what the movie was 20, 30 years ago where the punishment was a disconnection from people.
Ostracization is the most, is the scariest threat.
Oh, so painful.
It is because it meant death historically.
Well, right.
If you're not a part of the tribe, you die.
Well, right, because you're not going to be able to survive. You're not going to be able to do everything you need to do to take care of yourself. You have to rely on each other.
And we've got that.
We do.
Still today in 2026, we all have a nugget of, if I'm not a part of this group, I die.
I know. I think it's bigger. I think it's bigger than a nugget. I think it's like a rock. I think
it's in there.
It's our related being, you know. And
we have to.
But so we go back to what we were talking about earlier, but you feel this when you're in groups. That related beingness, right? That sense of connectedness. There's a flow. I get you. It makes sense to me, you know? And so when you don't have that, or it's off, or it's disrupted, but you don't trust it, then you start relying on other people. You start relying on norms that someone says, oh, I guess what I feel or I trust isn't right. I'm going to do what that person does, but it's not who I am. So now I'm starting to lose my authenticity.
Well, you start externally referencing.
Exactly.
And,
you know.
So I'm going to set the context for this.
Great.
Why is this important to me now? Why am I thinking about this? I'm just going to set that up with you. It's so good to have you back in the house, man.
I know. It's been a while.
Yeah, well, we figured out. I'm just so persistent. That's that.
Stay persistent, because that's the only way you're going to get, you know, I got all kind of shit changing in my practice right now. So.
Heck yeah. Well, I'll speak to this shortly, or just briefly, but persistence is hard because a part of me, whenever it doesn't work out, interprets that as rejection, or it's like all my shadows come out.
Right.
Oh, James, I'm not important enough to James. I'm like, blah, blah, blah. Why won't he make room for me? And there's this like, there's this thing that's ugly, and you kind of have to be like, you have to soothe it. You benefit from soothing it, reframing it, telling yourself a different story. Right. So that you can remain persistent, because all of that is in your haunted house.
Exactly.
It's not in the shared space.
No, it's not. It's not, because when you see me or we're together, it's like there's total connection. And it's just enormously. So I try to look at that as a menagerie of connection. It's like, where is the flow going to happen in the connection? It's going to happen. Yeah. But that rejection piece, it's like one of the big pieces I'm doing right now is really just embracing not only rejection, not resistance is normal. Mm-hmm. Okay? So normalize resistance. It's going to happen. Rejection is normal. What do you mean
resistance is rejection? Are you synonymously?
Yes. Well, not even synonymously. Resistance is anything I feel is a repelling or a pushing away or a questioning or a wondering about. Okay. And so, but then the rejection is a form of that resistance, all right? But if you normalized rejection, not in a way that I'm seeking it, I'm not trying to go find it and be a screw up all the time just because I like that stimulation. But if it's going to happen out of neurodiversity or kind of who we are or interactions of time and space because we can't sync up, if you don't personalize it, if you don't let that shit in a way that disrupts your internal sense of self, so like you're right, you perceive it as, oh, okay, not now, not yet. That's sad. That's disappointing.
Yeah, maybe ask a qualifying question. Can I follow up with you in a couple of months? Would you be okay with that? Right. Exactly. And trust people to own their no's and yeses and believe them.
Exactly. And trust them to walk right up, because I think I walked up right up to one of the lines we were going to get together earlier, and I had to call it.
Oh, yeah, a couple times. We had the weather. right before that snowmageddon.
Oh, yeah.
The freeze, and then another time before that with all the challenges you're experiencing in your life. And
Right. And
it's life.
It is, but if you take it as life, Phil, and you don't deny it, you don't try to run away from it.
Right.
You keep your eyes
You
open.
don't close off that connection because those things occur.
Right.
But I think a lot of folks experience rejection sensitivity.
Absolutely.
What's it called? RSD, rejection sensitivity.
Dysphoria. And what's interesting is that, that goes in concert with the emotional distress syndrome that I write about, because rejection sensitive dysphoria is that internal, natural, sensitive, neurological reactivity.
Right.
Okay. To a sense of a sensation coming to you, and you feel rejected, or you feel pain and dysphoria as a result of it. Well, all that builds the emotional distress syndrome. All those people, all that builds up into a syndrome that feels like a low-grade post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah.
It's one of the things I've wanted to do here recently is, write an article that pulls those two pieces together, because they feed each other.
Yeah. That makes sense.
But knowing about both of them so that you can reframe, repurpose, reorient. And I will tell you, the last 7 or 8 years, and you've seen a lot of it, a lot of my hunt has been around resourcing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We did our last whole discussion was about resourcing.
Mm-hmm. And that's still happening. And that's what the second book is going to be about. It's really
navigating the storms.
Yes. The lifetime storms of adult ADHD. And I love the first title, which is when the shiny wears off.
Yeah.
Okay? When you know as much as you need to know about everything you need to know, and it's still freaking hard.
It's going to be
hard. What do you do?
Yeah.
It is.
Well, one about rejection sensitivity dysphoria, it seems like the worst superpower ever. The ability to take no matter what sensory input you get and turn it into rejection. No matter what they say or do.
Right.
You're able to transform that into rejection.
Right. But if you normalize rejection, if you say, okay,
rejection's a part of life.
That's my hair color, height, and weight.
Or it's not rejection. I'm not being rejected. It's just a not now.
There we go.
Yet.
It's a flow state.
Reframing.
Right.
But here's why that's so important in our discussion today. Rejection is some felt sense of less connection, less connection to the world, less connection to group, less connection, and probably some sense of I'm not important enough, I'm not worthy, I don't have status or hierarchy, I'm not in the hierarchy in a good place.
But is it a perceived rejection?
Well, certainly it's
meaning
perceived.
Because if you see it as a not now, you see it as this is part of the flow state, I'm still connected to other things, it's not what's happening right now. But we have sensitized ourselves to be so externally focused, which I think feeds this rejection issue.
Yeah.
Okay? So go back to what I was saying earlier, where you got this intuition. And if you build your sense of knowing, that you're like, okay, no, I know James, and he knows me, and he cares for me, and I care for him, and it will work when it works, and it's supposed to be... And now you start playing with what I call absolute perfection, which is everything is as it should be, or it would be different. That's not a default setting, that's like, oh, screw life. No, this is like really finding rhyme and reason and meaning.
Yeah.
Okay, it's your adventure. Are you going to play in it and own it and be it and love it? Are you going to... Yeah. So to me, albeit the rejection is very visceral for us, right? I mean, our darkness, we're freaked out, we're panicking, we're breathing fast, we can't see which way is up straight.
Ruminating,
every little sound suddenly becomes a threat or
hypersensitivity.
It's real.
It's real.
But understanding the intensity of who we are and accepting that, living into it, and that's where I think the sensitization needs to occur. Okay, I'm an intense person. I'm hyperactive. I'm impulsive. I love life. I grab it by the throat and run with it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to own that. And if people are going to reject that issue, okay, well, then you're not my people.
That's right.
And this is where I love the ideas of neurodiversity. here we go. We're finding our people, right?
Finding
It's
our
like,
people.
and man, when you're in that group of people, it's like, there's nothing like it, right?
It feels good, doesn't it?
Well, it's like you're a kid in a candy store. It's
That's
like,
right.
oh my God, all my people.
And they're communicating in a similar way. And so,
Short little burst, and they're running, interrupting each other, and it's all flow. It's just like,
yeah,
it's beautiful.
it really is.
It is.
I've got a couple groups that are like that. And whenever I leave them, I almost want to send a text of like, I'm so grateful for y'all.
I know.
I'm so grateful for how easy it is to
Right.
be with y'all.
Right. And I'm going to miss
riff
you till next time.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm so look forward to the times we spend together.
Oh, yeah.
I had a couple of events that happened in my life that bring this exploration for me. I want to share them with you. And I write them about that in the article. And I'll share the article out if anybody wants to read it. It essentially, I don't know, maybe a year and a half ago, I started riding road bikes with a store, a bike shop down the street. My buddy invited me, and I love doing stuff with my buddies, so I said yes. I'd never done it before. I didn't know what the heck I was getting into. Seriously, it was, and on that first road ride, we rode probably 34 miles. I don't think I'd ever done that.
Wow.
And it was pretty fast, but I hung with it. And I ended up riding with this group every Saturday for a year.
Wow.
And, my connection with them, and they invested in me and supported me in so many ways. They taught me the ways of the road riding. It's a different thing.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So they did. And they even like the guys from the shop, like, they had found they had a bike donated and they repurposed it so that I could ride it because I was riding a big metal bike that wasn't for road cycling. And so
a high sense of inclusion. I want to be with you. I want to help you. I want you to be a part of.
Yeah, and they did. They gave me the kind of clothes that I needed because one of the riders had donated it, from the shoes to the bibs to the jersey. They just and I felt so much inclusion and so much power in this.
Right.
And it was amazing. For a year I was with them, and at a certain point they invited me into the room at the shop, and they said, "Hey, we've got some concerns about the way you're showing up in our group, and we don't want you to ride with us for a while."
Oh, wow.
And it was devastating. It was like at this place where I felt like I'm a part of this group.
And were they ever able to pinpoint what those things were that they got concerns?
Some of the things that I'd said, the way that I would communicate or joke around, folks were uncomfortable with.
Right.
They said that some of the ways that I would behave on the group rides, they didn't think were safe.
Wow.
They said, what else did they say? I think those are the main points.
Well, take those two pieces. Those are plenty.
Those are plenty.
Okay,
those are plenty.
Because from an understanding point of view, right? Is there a diversity there? Where you're a unique individual in those spaces, and the way you see things, the way you say things, that disrupts norms, that disrupts the group norm.
Oh yeah,
at a level.
Or hierarchy.
Right. Or hierarchy, or you say it like you see it, or you pull the shadows back, as I call it. Mm-hmm. And it gets people who are uncomfortable.
You upset the apple cart.
Right.
And we're going to talk about that. Right. This is kind of like the areas that I really want to traverse in. I was devastated by that.
Right.
And
I can't imagine.
And the way they did it, right? I felt like we were all really friends, and there was a closeness there where they would have just come and talked to me about it. Like, hey, this, that, and the other. But I thought the way they did it was really kind of...
Well, it's so shitty.
Surprising. Yeah, shitty's a good word.
It's just shitty.
It seems shitty.
Meaning that I know you from a heartfelt person point of view, and it's like, from the get-go, if there was a comment you had made that had made someone uncomfortable, it's like within 24 hours, come to me and say, hey, what you said here, here, and here, and you're like, oh, wow, okay, this is what I meant, or this is what I did.
Yeah.
Course correct it early.
Yeah.
And that's part of group behavior. And it's like, what was going on that didn't get course corrected early.
Yeah.
And that's not blaming the group, but it's just like there's something in there that, if they were afraid to, it's like, but they were pulling it. Yeah.
Well, they told someone else. They didn't tell me. The person that was uncomfortable told someone
know,
else. And then we got this like telephone of.
I know, but then that's dysfunctional behavior.
It's dysfunctional.
Right. It's triangulation. It's
and we're adults in an adult group ride. I mean, I don't want to go too far into that, but my expectation would be that adults talk to adults.
Right. And say, hey,
ouch.
Ouch, exactly. That didn't feel good. And you're like, oh, what happened?
And it's probably, we'll get into what it was, but...
oh, man.
And that was one group situation.
Yeah.
This little guy. That was one group situation. And then another group situation is I joined a men's group, a Mankind Project men's group.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Because I had done initiation through them like in 2022, but never joined an I group, which is what they call their men's group. And I joined one, I guess... late summer 2025, and in October I had a really challenging experience in one where one of the members, under the influence of anger, he was feeling anger emotion, and I think I felt threatened and intimidated, and rightly so when you look at the data. Like he was kind of getting up and he was telling me to shut my fucking mouth, and he was like, it was aggressive, loud,
right.
And it was a difficult situation.
It was unsafe.
It was unsafe. I felt unsafe. I put down the things that were in my hand, thinking like,
I got to protect myself.
I got to protect myself.
Right.
Like this isn't a safe environment, not just emotionally, but also physically.
Yeah.
And so there were these two things, and what I thought was, hey, I've had challenges my whole life in groups.
Right.
Whether they were work groups, friend groups, social groups, athletic groups, whether it was like football clubs or track clubs. I've been kicked out of all kind of stuff and fired from all kind of stuff. And I thought, I've done a ton of work over the last 10 years. And I'm a 48-year-old man, and I'm still experiencing this.
Right.
Let's look at it.
Right.
Let's look at it.
Yeah.
What's going on here? And so that's what led me to write this thing. And I think we'll maybe just go through it in stages and talk about each stage.
Go.
Because I break it down in the article. I sent it to you, and you gave me great feedback, by the way. I really appreciated your free feedback. I break it down into these stages. They're kind of like... the stages of finding a group and being excluded from a group, like all the way through it. I break it into stage one is hope and entry. So it's like before you get in the group, and then the first kind of entry into it. And then the second stage is, let's see here, boop. The second stage is micro-misattunements.
Which is what we were talking about. There's not course corrected early on. They can build up.
Micro-misattunements. And then the third thing is escalation. Right.
Something happens that becomes a higher level of disruption, and suddenly everyone's on alarm or on alert.
And then the fourth one is conflict and rejection.
Right.
This is the kind of the
intensity.
Something happens that's big that then requires action that is exclusion. And then the fifth one is the exclusion. And I don't think I have a sixth one. And I thought we'd just go, sixth is withdrawal, grief, and meaning making. So it's kind of the aftermath of that exclusion. And so I broke it down into those, and I thought maybe we could just look, I put a seventh step, and that was agency and rebuilding. Which I think will be important for us to address.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of the recovery space.
It is.
After meaning making. I've got some interesting thoughts on this for sure.
So let's start with hope and entry. And I think it's hope and entry because after a lifetime of challenges in groups, there's always a hope that it works out.
Sure.
That you're included. That you find acceptance, appreciation, celebration.
Right.
And there's probably a sensitivity of or a fear that comes along with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, there's a maybe a trepidation, there's a little hesitancy even, particularly if you have a history of this type of disruption having gone on. And so you have to be careful, right, in that hope space, in the entry space, that you're not going in with already one shoe waiting to drop. That you're doing your best to try to relax into the space.
And make it
aware.
It's a new, unique experience.
Right.
It's not a continuation from some past thing.
Sure.
Right?
Right. This is a new experience. But I also think it's important, is you start unraveling this even from the very beginning. If you have a history of something like this with anyone, and we're going to be talking to an audience, right, that has a huge piece of rejection that's going on. And so having had that in the past, yes, going in with hope, going in with I want to be connected, in the entry aspect of it, there's excitement, right? There's novelty, there's news, there's interest. Exactly. Once again, I'm stepping in, I'm out of my comfort zone, or I'm doing something new that I'm not sure how to do. Other people are helping me how to do it, so now I'm vulnerable. And so it's exciting, right? But to allow that to be exciting, allow that to be new. One of the things, like this summer, I'm going to take my first acting class.
Oh, really?
Okay.
You're excited.
I'm super excited, but nervous as all get out.
Well, nervous and excitement are...
They're good things, but they're
the same thing.
But it's going into a new group. I've never been in acting before. It's something that I feel called to.
That sounds fun.
It's fun. It could be but I'm trying not to place too many expectations. So I'm going in with observation. I'm going in with curiosity. And that's what I think you're talking about when you're talking about hope and you're talking about the entry. Important for us, particularly if you've had a history of difficulty, to come in with curiosity and observation. Yeah. And with intrigue and those kind of things, which help us to bridge that history of hypervigilance.
Well, an ADHD person, a neurodivergent person, could come into a group like a bull in a china shop.
Yes.
That's because some folks... I've heard stories of these types of people. They come in and they're quiet and they observe and they they see, what's the power like? Who's the leader? How do I navigate this? Right? On entry. And then some people might just come in and be like, I'm me. This is my vibe. I don't really have those receptors open to see, well, how's the power structure in this room?
Right.
How do I figure out how they give signals of back off or signals of that's accepted? How do I, behave? What's the social norms? That bull in the china shop is maybe not aware of those things and just behaving.
Yes. But in the just behaving, there is a natural consequence to actions, right? There's a push, there's a pull. I mean, those kind of things are naturally going to happen. So if you're in this position, then knowing that is going to be a part of it, I think it's very important to be conscious, particularly in that early hope kind of entry stage of this is who I am. Yeah. And so your ability to quote unquote call yourself out in a meaningful way. This is how I behave. This is who I am.
Be open about it.
Exactly. And there can be, and I think that it's got to be by choice, and it's got to be an internal space that you evaluate for yourself in knowing the history that, okay, if I'm going in with that consciousness and I'm going in with this, okay, this is who I am, and I'm clear about it. Okay, where is the fine balance between that and not changing yourself? Yeah. Okay, and it's very nuanced. I'm being who I am, but I'm also being aware in care, or concern, or respect, or inclusion of other people. Yeah. Okay.
The word that comes to mind, I think, and that's culturally relevant now is masking. Yeah. And I think we're all masking. In some way, shape, or form, we all mask.
But it's all functional, too.
It's functional.
In some ways, it's functional.
We want to be authentic. We want to be ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And we also want to fit in.
Right.
We mask because we fear being rejected for being who we are.
Right. But masking can be also as simple as putting on a freaking coat when it's cold outside. Okay? So this whole piece about masking has gotten to a point where people are like, oh my God, it's become the favor of the day.
Yeah.
So I have a little bit of chagrin about it right now because it's like everyone, but it's like the reality is, look, there's a normalization to masking that it's okay to put on a coat when it's cold outside.
When we're in church, we behave like church social norms, their expectations.
Absolutely.
When we're at a golf course,
absolutely,
we behave like people behave on a golf course. When we're at a paintball,
right,
we behave there. When we're at school, so what you're saying is each context, each environment is going to have social norms,
right?
And that doesn't, because you're in alignment with them, doesn't mean that you're masking.
No,
right.
But you want to be aware of them. You want to be aware of them.
Realizing the context, we're all wanting to be authentic within the context.
Sure.
I imagine.
Right.
Do we want to express ourselves? Do we want to be unique?
Well, sure we do. Everyone is unique. And that's the fun part, is that there's a juxtaposition, right? I'm unique and I'm also exactly like you. We're 99.9% of our DNA is the same. All right.
Yeah.
But that uniqueness is individuality, which is part of this interrelatedness that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you go back to this first stage, right, this hope, this entries piece, it's all part of it. I'm unique, is who I am. Being comfortable in who I am is super important. And so learning to be with that without being protective of it. And it's like, okay, I like wearing these kind of boots or this kind of this kind of shirt or this kind of hat. It's who I am.
I was thinking that too. Like, oh, I just happen to like pink, or I like this color, so I'm going to wear this.
Right.
Certain amount of variability is accepted in most groups. Like if I go to paintball ring or church or school, I can express myself within certain areas.
Yep. Yep.
And if some places don't allow that, right? If I can't be, I'm going to use one that's kind of more provocative. If I can't express my kind of sexual preferences, like that I'm gay or that I'm straight, or, well, why is that? Well, I guess, how would you do that? Why would you need to express those things?
You may be comfortable with it and someone else is uncomfortable with it. It's naturally who you are, but it's against the norm of a group that you're in. And we have just opened the Pandora's box on sexual orientation. Thank you very much. I think it's a wonderful thing because it's a...
But we need to be ourselves, at least that level of ourselves in every group.
Right.
Because I don't think you can hide your sexual orientation. And it's not necessarily important in all contexts.
No, it's not.
It's probably not important in most contexts.
Right.
The only context it's important in is when I go on a date.
Right.
When I'm interacting with someone I'm romantically interested in, but it comes out in subtle ways.
Sure it does.
And those small signals that we send out to the world, they need to be okay.
Right. Well, you need to be okay with them in yourself, and we are in a very disruptive state right now that we are working to normalize that, You're
talking about culturally?
Culturally, societally.
You're talking about acceptance. Accepting people.
Acceptance, yes, but living with and being with and normal. It's like, okay, who cares?
Yeah.
It's not my preference. All right, it's not an issue.
Well, it's not XYZ sexual orientation person. It's Sally.
Right.
I interact with people. I don't interact with sexual preferences.
Right. If that's not what I'm here for, if that's not what I'm interested or connected with you on, so accept someone for it because everyone's different.
Everybody's
it's hair,
different.
color, height, and weight again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hair, color, height, weight.
Right.
It's things we can't change about
ourselves.
ourselves.
And the stuff, but we can see those. That's what's so interesting. We can see hair, color, height, and weight. Many times you can see sexual orientation a lot of times, but a lot of times you can't see neurodiversity of like hyperactivity or impulsivity until it's in the space, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, you give me a fun topic and I'm a kid in a candy store and I light up and I interrupt and I'm all over the place and I'm hyperverbal on stories and And I can be aware of that in the context if I'm in church or I'm somewhere, and I can get a governor, but I think that's important because that's part of a group norm.
In groups on entry, there's that power structure that's there, that was there before you got there.
Sure.
We're talking about hierarchy, status, and those determine who people go to or how people communicate.
It is how people interrelate, but it's only because we've chosen that within that group.
I know, but do you think ADHD folks might not be aware of some of that stuff?
Totally not aware of it. Not totally not aware of it.
I would agree.
Hypervigilant aware of it. But again, you get an underactivity in the neurology of the brain on the left side, right? And you get a lack of evaluation, planning, prioritizing. And so I don't evaluate as naturally as someone else. So I have to evaluate from consciousness or awareness, or it's like I know who I am and I'm going to speak to it.
Yeah.
So it's like in a situation like you're in with this biking group, okay?
Yeah.
It's like going into it knowing, all right, this is who I am, and this may very well happen. I might burn out this group.
I might burn out the group.
Because it's just, that's what I do. And so,
because I go and then I just go every Saturday.
Right.
Like I just go all in.
Because it's what you love.
Because it's fun.
It's a routine.
And there's a hope. This is community. This is an opportunity to connect and to socialize.
Right. And so some people see it as overbearing, or you're over including yourself.
And I would ride at the front of the pack, at the very front. And even in these groups,
I can see you. That's so great.
Just in the front of the pack, just this 48-year-old, 5-year-old.
Right.
I want to ride at the front, I want to be with you guys.
Right, but
there's probably a hierarchy like in a wolf pack.
Exactly.
Wolves probably walk in a line in a certain way, determined by
But if someone in a wolf
hierarchy.
pack had done that early on, they would bite the little wolf and say, okay. But
I
they would
probably
say,
got nipped.
Right.
And didn't interpret it as such.
And so how does that significance come across to you? How does someone sit down and get your attention and say, hey, this is how we ride in a group. This is who's in front. This is who's in back. This is why. Because if someone normed it for you and gave you the rhyme and reason, you got the intelligence to understand it. I know you've got the care and the wherewithal. That's what pisses me off about groups, is that they're not willing to be honest early on at a real level that says, teach me about it. Because if you can teach me, this is what happens with us with ADHD.
I think they tried to do it. I think when I reflect back, I think members of that group did try to do it. Here's where it missed. I can dismiss subtlety.
Yes.
I really benefit from directness. Mm-hmm. I benefit, and I think the reason that's difficult in groups, especially with newer members, is because it requires tremendous intimacy.
It does.
To sit down with someone and say, hey, let me just break this down for you.
Right.
Right. You matter. Right. We want you to.
Right.
We want you to.
But on your side, this is where I think it's important for us with neurodiversity, ADHD challenges to say, okay, I'm aware of that. So, like for myself, I've become more hyper aware in a meaningful way about subtlety. Someone says something, and the next day I keep thinking about it.
What did they mean?
Right. And then what I'll do is I'll drive back into the group early and I'll go, okay,
hey, what did you mean
said
by
this.
That?
I need you to expand on this a little bit because I have a tendency to do X, Y, and Z, and I think I missed something.
Yeah.
And so I know my characteristics. That helps with group inclusion.
Yeah.
But it doesn't prevent some of the things you may have gone through, like rejection and people. But when you got the drive you got, and the intensity and what I do. And it's just, okay, how do you accept that as your life course, right? We're not jumping to the making meaning part yet, but how do you accept that as your life course? It's like, not in a bad way, just in a way. It's like, okay, I'm going to be jumping groups every 12 to 18 months.
Just like, so we ADHD groups. I say that by, the same way we chase the shiny.
Yes.
Groups are part of the shiny.
Exactly. And
I might not be in the same group forever.
And accept it. and start to norm it.
I don't want to accept it, James.
I
I
get
want to
it.
be in the groups forever.
Right. Well, then that's an internal process, right? That's an internal building, and I can be in my own group with myself, by myself, for myself.
Oh, I got my own group.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
My own group of my internal guides and how I see my world. It has nothing to do with anybody else, and it's as valuable as anything. No, I think it's critical but that's the balance, Phil. That's the balance.
So a couple of things I wrote down there on this entry were about the halo versus the horn effect. Mm-hmm. You know about the halo effect.
Know of it. Why don't you?
So the halo effect, there's a couple things that signal that someone's good.
Right.
And that everything they do is good. Mm-hmm. And that's like any behavior that they exhibit, they're seen through the lens of the halo.
Right. They put a halo on you.
Right.
You're right.
And that could be, they could be attractive.
Yeah.
They could have signal wealth. They could have a lot of money. There's a lot of things that can cloud your perceptions about someone's behavior.
Right, because they look good. They're acting good. They're strong.
Affluent.
Right. So we put these halos on
And
them.
then you perceive everything they do as okay.
Yep.
And then the opposite side of that is kind of this horn effect where someone gets the opposite of that.
Right.
They're, no matter what they do, they can do the exact same thing as the halo person, but
You're perceived differently.
you're perceived differently.
And you have to look at something like that and say it's not that either one is not more valuable than the other. They just have these reactions to them. And in this case, the horn effect, which is what a lot of people with ADHD are going to come at the world with, right?
I think we get it. That's the negative social cues that we get throughout our life.
Right.
Is the horn effect.
Yes, but I've got, I don't necessarily call them my experiments, but I think of them in a lot of ways that I'm watching them develop. There's two people in my life. They're in their mid-30s now. One is my oldest son, and one is someone that I've mentored since he was 8. And he's out in California now, and they both have ADHD, and they're both well within their places but they still have these rejection, disruptive anxiety events, but neither one of them stays in it very long.
Yeah.
And so it really depends on a lot of it is how we're raised and normed early on. Is this normalized? Are you okay? Okay, you're a little intense. If someone had taken you aside in preschool and say, hey, Phil, you got a lot of energy. You're always going to have a lot of energy, and this is going to be kind of who you are. So these are the things that are important for you to know about yourself.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, thanks for telling me my hair color, height, and weight.
Yeah, thanks for giving me the little manual.
Right.
You saw something in me and shared it with me and then made it okay.
Right. And this is how you interact in groups, because you're going to have a tendency to be the energizer. You're going to be the one at the front of the pack. So, and when someone, walks away from you or does something that's subtle and you wonder about it, go ask them, hey, what happened there? I see. I kind of pushed you a little too far. I'm sorry. I wasn't aware of that. That happens to me sometimes. You go repair it.
Yeah, you repair.
But if you don't know to repair it early on, then what you're describing is these things build up.
Yeah, it's a small crack that can get bigger over time.
Yep.
Another thing I wrote was creating safe landing zones.
Yeah.
Amy Edmondson's research on psychological safety highlights that groups signaling it's safe to show up as yourself and make mistakes achieve higher learning, performance, and retention. For neurodivergent individuals, creating these zones is especially impactful.
Right.
So what she recommends, or strategies for that, are greeting new members warmly and consistently, making expectations explicit and clear, which you talked about.
Right.
Providing early and specific encouragement focused on effort, growth, and inclusion rather than conformity.
Yes.
Which I think is really important. Actively monitoring for subtle exclusionary cues, side conversations, inside jokes that may disproportionately affect neurodivergent participants.
Right.
So you hit on a lot of those.
Right.
Expectations clear, and explicitly.
Yep.
Not subtle, but you spoke to it on your side. You're owning it. If
Right.
you notice something subtle,
Right.
go ask for that explicitity.
Exactly.
Go ask for the
Yes.
clarity.
Right. Because you're then affecting conformity. You're affecting the group process
Yes.
as a whole. And this is where I think if we are powerful leaders, okay, and
Yeah.
we're courageous and we know ourselves, Phil, we can get into groups and help lead groups in meaningful ways and develop new norms and conformities and help people grow. But it takes a lot of authenticity and awareness. But these, having safe landing zones in groups is really important. And it's like corporations are getting better at knowing neurodiversity.
Yeah.
When I approached corporations freaking 25 years ago, there was crickets. Nobody wanted to talk about differences in neurology. It was a threat.
Yeah.
It was a problem. And now we do have neurodiversity groups, and we have
Yeah.
inclusion spaces to help people understand it. Does it take it all away? No.
No.
Because part of what's happening is we have all this backlash. We have 15, 20, 30, 40 years of trying to grow through something. So, making the awareness now doesn't stop all the history that those people are bringing to the table.
Right.
So it's almost like there's a higher level of responsibility we have right now to really say, hey, who are you? Who am I? How do we work together? And how do we make this a meaningful place that we can all live in and be effective?
That's right.
We can help each other.
That's right. The next stage, let's move to micro-misattunements. And you're kind of speaking that a little bit. These subtle misinterpreting.
Yep.
These subtle, what I said was the first cracks of belonging were small,
Right.
almost imperceptible at first.
Right.
I began hearing comments that I was talking too much during rides. Sometimes it was framed as if my talking meant I wasn't riding hard enough, because if I were pushing myself to the limit, I'd be too out of breath to speak. These remarks were half joking, but they carried an undertone of correction. My way of engaging or making the ride social was already beginning to stand out.
Right.
So, micro-misattunements.
I really love the term because it speaks to the subtlety in the micro, but the misattunements have more to do with how a group attunes with each other. There's going to be a global whole that we all try to operate within. We don't operate those global wholes very well. The big norms that we're going to challenge those. We're going to disrupt them.
Yeah.
So we know that there's going to be micro-misattunements from day one, and the awareness of them is important so that it's like early on, you heard those things about you're talking too much, those kind of things. It would have been slowing down or telling, okay, where is this leading? Yeah. How big of a problem is this going to be? Because I see I'm misattuning here. It's like you're bringing it up, but it's hard to open Pandora's box on purpose. That's the issue for us, Phil. Is that because we know there could be a huge storm behind it, and so the courage you need is to open something like that, to say, "Oh my God, I misattuned that. I see it," but then to own, all right, this is who I am. I'm going to misattune several times, and so now in the best of worlds that I am in, where I'm loved and cared for, it's quirks. These are my quirks.
It's quirky.
I'm quirky. These are the kind of things I go off on. This I have a passion about that, and the people who love and care for me, are like, oh yeah, I know that quirk about you.
Yeah.
And it's genuine. It's loving. It's like
loving.
I see that about you.
They appreciate you.
Yeah. But it's not a problem. It's like, it's the color of my hair. And so they're,
Yeah.
But that takes effort on our part.
The two places I think of in the group that highlight this are, one, that it's a social ride. People are talking.
Right.
So the message, you're talking too much, isn't clear.
Right. It's like, well, where's the line?
But I think what they mean to say is the way that you're maybe commandeering the conversation isn't allowing for a high status person to be themselves in the way they were before.
Right.
Because one of the people there had high status or was a leader in the group, and they were feeling like they couldn't communicate normally because of the way that I was communicating.
Exactly.
As opposed to, you're talking too much. It's really like, hey, I don't know how to fit into your style of communication.
Correct. Now we've got differences going on.
Now, yeah.
Okay. But we've also got norms and hierarchies in the group already. So someone's got more perceived power or influence.
Anytime there's groups of people, there's going to be power dynamics and hierarchy.
But see, to me, the hierarchy of that leader, he should know he's in that position, and he should be accountable and responsible for himself.
I think groups.
I know.
I think groups should know that.
I know.
I think it should be hair color, height, and weight for groups, right? We should just say, hey, in this group, this is kind of how the power structures works, and it's not in the shadows.
Right.
But in most groups, I would venture to say,
no,
it is not out in the open.
Right. So for you, you may have perceived early on who that hierarchy was or where that power source was.
Yeah.
And you could even have attempted to go in and do, kind of, I'm aware of who I am.
Yeah. I tell people I'm neurodivergent.
But the reality is, even in doing that, that individual may not sync with you.
Well, they're going to want to communicate in the way they did before you were part of the group. There's this one guy who talked about group dynamics, and he broke them into 4 stages: forming, storming, norming, and performing.
Right.
So this is a storming phase.
Yes, it is.
Where when you put a new person into a group, they're going to have to figure out how to communicate, how to be themselves, or how to and it's like, who is what? How are we together?
Yes.
And there could be a threat, or there could be a...
Well, there's going to be. I mean, this is where we normalize this, right? So, and yes, and those group stages are clear, and you'll see them every time. And when you get into that storming phase, this is where the courage and the bravery and the confidence comes in to stay with the storm. You keep your eyes open.
Yeah.
You remain clear about what's going on. But you look through the storm knowing there's going to be a forming on the other side. There's going to be a norming. It's going to come.
And you got to be vulnerable. I mean, the guy's got to say, like, hey, the way you're... That's that clarity and the explicit and clear... maybe instead of you're talking too much, and this is where before you said that's a subtle communication that doesn't make sense, so then ask for clarity.
Right.
Instead of that, is it, hey, I don't know how I fit in with your communication style, and I want to be a part of the group in the way that I always have, and I'm finding it challenging.
Right.
Which I think is probably difficult for someone with high status and power to say it, because it is this like...
I know, but
that's power.
But it is power. But the majority of our leaders in today's world are not vulnerable. They're not authentic. They're not. But we as a society, unfortunately, also don't allow for our leaders to be vulnerable because we're relying on them too much.
Yeah.
For what we're thinking about them. But there's not enough from leaders to say, hey, I screwed that up. This is who I am. I'm human like you. Let's go on. I'll continue to lead you. It's been one of the norms I've really honed over the last 30 years of my work with ADHD, how to be authentic, how to be vulnerable, and still lead.
That's what we need to do.
I know, but you still got to lead. And so in this case, you're going to have choices to know that you blow through groups pretty fast.
That's where we talk about.
But I really think
shiny things.
Yeah, but you can. I always believe that we can find our people.
We can find our people.
We can find our groups, and we can find groups that stick with us. I think it's no secret to, if you watch work around me, right? I've been in 12-step recovery for going on over 38 years.
Yeah.
And I've been in a relational aspect of that, which is called Al-Anon in 12-step groups. Mm-hmm. And I'm in a men's Al-Anon group.
Okay.
And that men's Al-Anon group has 40, 50, 60 people at a meeting. It's huge. It's probably one of the healthiest groups of men I've ever seen, because everyone works on their own stuff within the context of what we would call Al-Anon, which is family members of people who have problems with alcohol or drugs.
Right.
Okay. But I was fascinated by that because there's a safety in that group because everyone works on their own crap.
Yep.
You know, and that's where I have found some homes of authenticity. Now, am I still hyperactive and impulsive and all that? Yes. People know who I am. They know if we have we go on a camp out once a year. You know, I'm getting up on Sunday morning and making this huge breakfast for anybody and everybody. I'll feed the whole campground. But it's who I am. And so I have to be careful in who I am, though, that I don't start feeling like there's something wrong with it.
That's right.
It's to exposure. You know, that's the piece that we really have to work on internally inside of ourselves.
These things happen. It doesn't mean that I'm wrong.
Right. It just
because these things are normal things in life that happen.
Right. There's a hierarchy in groups.
And I'm still right. I'm still okay. I'm worthy. I matter.
Right.
And these things happen.
Right. So you're going to have these
misattunements.
Right. You're going to throw things off. You're going to know it. You're going to be aware of it. It's still going to, you're still going to blow out groups at times.
Yeah. Another micro-misattunement I found was, man, when you're doing these group rides, I don't know if you've been on group rides before.
I've seen them. I have an older brother who's a triathlete, so he's been on many group rides forever.
A part of it is communicating to the group what's going on, whether it's calling out there's a hole in the road or we're going to turn left. Or
car coming or whatever.
All that stuff. Car up, car left. There's a whole thing there.
There's a whole language. There's a whole...
It's a language.
It's a vernacular that is,
And so I get in the group. It's a game I want to play. Man,
Teach me.
I'm a little 5-year-old and I want to play it, and I don't play it perfectly.
Yeah.
I fail at it, and that impacts some of the leaders in the group because when I do fail, it's disruptive.
Well,
I say things that make it challenging to lead a group of riders because I said the wrong thing or what I said.
Well, and that's where they're talking about it. Unfortunately, it's just part of the process of the push and pull, right? It could be dangerous.
It could be dangerous.
You know?
Yeah.
When you're riding bikes. And so, but it's like, this is where you were talking about this individual's work about how to bring people in with neurodivergent or what we need. Okay? If they would have given you a buddy, a mentor, this is your mentor in the group.
Yep.
They're going to teach you. And so after every ride, you know, you're going to go over kind of what happened and what's best. There would be these micro attunements the other way.
Yep.
Rather than them being misattunements. But it's like you could even ask for that in groups in the future. You're like, hey, I just need someone.
I need a buddy. Yeah,
I need a buddy. Someone I can talk to afterwards to kind of understand what's happening. Because I believe smart. I'm just really holding us accountable and responsible, Phil, because the world, from a victimization point of view, will keep kicking our ass around neurodiversity. It will if we don't take some control from a point of view of empowerment and say, okay, this is who I am.
I'm accountable.
Right. So I need a buddy. So
yeah, I like that.
You know, another thing that keeps coming to mind on the damn writing group is go start your own damn writing group.
Yeah,
it's like
start my own damn writing group. We'll get to like what happened as a result of it, but one thing: humor, social risk, and misalignment. Social humor provides bonding opportunities, but also carries risks. Misalignment between perceived and intended humor can quickly trigger conflict, especially for neurodivergent participants who may rely on literal or rule-based interpretations. When the same type of joke is received differently depending on who says it, it reinforces the sense of conditional belonging, that acceptance is earned, not inherent.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things I experienced because I noticed they were joking around in certain ways, and I would joke around in that similar way. I thought, like, okay, y'all set this bar, and my joking would get a different response.
Because you may not have had the hierarchy.
I might not have had the status to joke that way.
Right. Or the intensity of your voice or the degree of your inflection based on your intensity and kind of the natural state of your who you are, how tall you are in that space. Is more disruptive, but it's just who you are. And
I had a comedian on here, and I've had a couple comedians, and we've talked about that stand-up. It could be that stand-up comedy works in the it's when you have a known thing, right? You know someone is this, and they give you a right turn.
Right.
So you kind of have to have a foundation of relationships so they get a base level
Sure.
of who you are. So when you say something left field, they don't think that's who you are.
Right.
They see it as a divergence and therefore funny.
Right.
Because it's like such an obvious out of character thing to say.
Right.
It's got to be the comedy, not the personality.
Yes. And in that space, again, can you lead it? Can you lead the space with understanding by saying, this is who I am. So when I take a left over here, you know that I'm going to take a left over here.
Yeah, I'm not a pedophile.
Yeah.
I'm not racist. I'm not all these things.
Right.
But sometimes I want to goof around in ways that kind of...
That push the edge.
It's pushing the edge a little bit.
Well,
or sexism or all these.
I know.
I was raised watching Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor and all these people that really push the edges in all these areas. And I'm just a 48-year-old white dude, who probably shouldn't be doing any of that.
Well,
But I still think it's funny. And
yes. And so as a result of that push and pull and the natural nature of it, you say, okay, this is my life. This is who I am.
Yeah.
How do I find and how do I be in the world in a meaningful way that's I'm comfortable with who I am. And so there are going to be disruptions, disappointments, your ability to own that when it happens, how it happens. But yeah, we push the edge. We like stimulation.
And some people in Austin and probably all over America are going to be more sensitive to jokes and not be as open to them.
Oh, yeah.
Because they've experienced harm.
Sure.
And there's a reason they're not open to that humor.
Right.
Right? Because heck, this matters to me. This is not a joking matter.
Right. Right. And getting the seriousness of that or understanding someone's disruption is important in a group reattunement or in an understanding. And that's what happens with us as a group is we have to keep adjusting.
We do. Next phase we're going to is the escalation. In this stage, the dynamic shifted from subtle friction to something more damaging. The way leadership and other community members began to interpret and influence how my behavior was seen. A powerful cognitive bias was at play here, the halo effect. Within the bike shop and group ride culture, certain traits created a halo, like owning an expensive bike,
Right.
or spending significant money, or riding with impressive speed, right? Someone who can go fastest up the hill, someone who has like the most expensive, fanciest bike, or someone who's, constantly spending money. These markers granted some memberships a kind of social immunity. Their mistakes were overlooked, their quirks tolerated, their presence validated. And it says, as a newcomer, I was in the opposite position, right? I was bringing a beater bike, and they were, cobbling together stuff to help me. So I wasn't the fastest. I didn't have a fancy bike. I was just happy to be out there doing the dang thing.
Right.
So it says, I also began to feel pressure to fundamentally change who I was. At times I was told to behave myself while wearing the bike jersey, the bicycle, the shop's jersey. Like I had to change my behavior because I'm representing this thing now.
Right.
And it's like, what? Dude, I'm just who I am all the time just because I put on this shirt. When I put on a
Nike
Prana,
shirt or whatever.
a Nike shirt, I'm not all of a sudden representing Nike. I don't have to be like Nike personality now. I'm me.
Right.
These are clothes, man.
Right.
I put these clothes on.
Right. Right.
They don't put me on.
Right, but there's the norm within the group
Yeah.
that they're wanting to establish, and there's a rule that you start to rub up against that gets bigger.
Yeah. That's the escalation.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. There was feedback when it came was vague and unhelpful. It was not relational, not framed in a way that gave me a path towards improvement or deeper understanding. There was no follow-up, no sense of shared investment in my growth as a member of the community. The result was confusion and alienation. And this is what I want to get to for a second. I had placed these people in the friend category, but their actions increasingly felt like those of gatekeepers or adversaries. And
So But that you bring up a funny thing when you say, for one, the escalation piece, everyone is sensitized overly right now with escalation.
Mm-hmm.
We all respond, react to it pretty strongly. And, when something like that happens, it does challenge norms. It does kind of move things around. And the alienation and the confusion are going to come. They're natural parts of that.
Yeah.
To be aware of. Unfortunately, when you get to the back end of escalation and those kind of things, if there is not understanding of repair or what do I do differently, but in that, everybody owns some responsibility. And if someone in the group's not owning the responsibility and they want to stand back to a norm, or this is how it is with us and this is how we do it,
yeah,
then you are going to be alienated.
Yep.
You are going, and it's almost, Phil, it's like, it would almost be, and I don't wish this for you in the future, but if it shows up again, your ability that when the escalation phase hits and it's like, okay, here comes the alienation, your ability to sit back in a curious observational state and say, I get it. I know who I am.
We're incompatible.
I have blown this group out. I love you. I care about you, but you're right. Yeah. I'm asking you to change or to be someone different than who you are, and you're perceiving it as unsafe. What you just own it. You're like, I get it. And you set up the possibility that if you do something like that, the group actually has an opportunity at that point to make different choices.
Yeah.
Because suddenly you're not playing victim and you're no longer the target because you've taken their energy and released it by owning it. So there's no one to point to anymore. Now the group has an opportunity to look at it and look at you and say, oh, interesting. Wow, we are excluding people who are like Phil. What do we do so we can include Phil? Oh, we need to give him a buddy system.
Yeah.
That's how groups change, and that's what we miss.
Victim triangle, because in the victim triangle, they're the abuser, or they're the aggressor.
Yes.
And that's not an orientation that brings about growth and progress and self-reflection. It brings about,
division.
That's the
absolutely. But
the trenches, but the trench lines, and we're on our other sides.
But again, I go back to I hold us accountable with our neurodiversity to say, okay, if we see it, we know it's happening.
Yeah.
How do we be strong leaders to help evolve that space? It's not easy, but in that case, you can break the triangle by owning your behavior and saying, you're right. I do those things. This is who I am. It's disappointing. It's sad. And you put it on the table. And this is where this pause comes in. You put it on the table and you just let people think about it.
Let it marinate.
Because everyone goes through growth cycles.
That's right.
And growth is going to be, this is the chaos, disruptive, transformative space. But it's what I've been teaching on the ADHD spectrum that, okay, your life's going to be stormy. It's not going to go away. You better learn to resource yourself and take care of who you are. And how do you become a leader on top of that?
Yeah.
You get an opportunity, and you will get, I guess, I know you will, I will. You will get another opportunity in your life to address this, Phil.
Yeah.
Lovingly so. You'll get another chance to say, I'm at the edge of the group again. I get it.
Let's do this differently.
Here we are. We're at escalation. I own it.
Yeah.
You're right. I did these things. I know that makes people nervous. Let's talk about it. I see you're not willing to see, because at the end of the day, if you leave a group like that consciously and you go, look, I get you're not willing to change your behavior or change these norms, and you find them disruptive and unruly and unsafe. I get it. I understand those are the norms you're running this group by.
Yeah.
I love you. I care about you. You have a good life. I'll have a good life. If you're leaving from that position, you're really managing the potential rejection, dysphoria.
You're not burning bridges on the way out.
It's not hard. It's hard, Phil. It's hard to have a consensus.
You want to burn them bridges, though.
Fucking you want to burn those bridges.
But
you want to scorch them.
You want to scorch earth, yeah, but there is a higher road, and leaving doors and windows open. for relationships elsewhere, and you want to leave a good taste in folks' mouth. You want people to think, oh, okay,
right.
I like how we did that.
Right, but it's not going to happen if you don't have a constitutional, strong foundation of yourself that you work on all the time.
You've got self-worth.
Because it's
you're valuable. You're okay.
Because my belief is, okay, if the neurodivergent population, say it's a 3 to 5%, I don't know what the autistic spectrum included therein, that's the ADHD spectrum around the world, then the highest responsibility of us is what? To know who we are, to lead powerfully, and to be able to help groups change when they need to change, and be ready. That's not going to be an easy thing.
I like that.
It's hard, but it's what I feel like I'm doing with conscious, pragmatic information I'm putting out there. This is how you do it. This is what happens. How you lead. It's not going to go away.
Yeah. It's in our benefit to educate and to help lead groups subtly towards more acceptance and inclusion and celebration.
And it scares the heck out of me to be doing what I'm doing in an authentic way, the way I am. Whether it's as a licensed professional counselor in the state of Texas, where I do coaching and counseling and mentoring and all these, it pushes boundaries with a lot of people. But it's an inclusion space that there's very few counselors that I'm aware of that really use an authentic style, that they talk about their lives. They expose their lives in a way that's meaningful, but I'm not doing it because I'm trying to get you to help me. No, I get the ethics of that. But if I don't show that as a leader in the ADHD world, how in the hell are you going to find it in yourself and
be a
believe
role model?
Right. And that's where I see you doing this podcast and talking with powerful leaders and helping people unwind the psyche of the human condition.
I hope so.
Well,
one other thing in this escalation piece I'd like to speak about is, I don't know if every ADHD person has this. I know I have it. That's, dang, I have never met someone I didn't want to be my friend almost immediately, and maybe even make them my friend immediately, before there was experiential foundation, that we had some amount of shared experience to develop a foundation where that friendship sits on. I'm like, we're already friends.
I know.
We're already friends. And I imagine that behaving with someone with that fragile foundation as if we're friends, with a closeness and an intimacy and a disclosure and all that stuff, can be off-putting, sometimes scary, or like, wait a second, you're barnacling onto me all of a sudden? Like, I don't even know you, bruh. And different people talk about it in different ways. And I imagine this like closeness that comes prematurely, like premature closeness. I don't know what we want to call it.
That's a good term.
But Brene Brown would say something about over disclosure, or like that type of thing. There's a lot of things that come from a premature intimacy or friendship. And I think that's part of this.
It is. I think it's a huge part of this. But again, I'm going to take you back to the ownership piece. Okay, I know that's who I am and that's what I do. And so whether it's micro-misattunements or other pieces, I'm going to watch for, because when the escalation gets here, I better have a pretty strong constitution in me to be able to stay in that escalation powerfully. Because you're right. Your ownership to know everybody's my friend. Okay, well, in the gregariousness of that state, you're the greatest salesperson in the world. Because you can help people understand how this is going to be a benefit to. I mean, there's 10,000 ways that's a strength.
It is a strength.
Okay, and it can be an enormously a powerful leader, because if you're a politician or you're someone who is leading change at greater levels, well, you want people to feel included. You want them to feel like your friend immediately, but in an authentic, real way. Well, we can do that. Okay? But if it's in a place where someone feels threatened and you're not aware of it and they can't communicate it to you, then you get these escalations.
Or it's weird shadow power dynamics and the leader's like, wait a second, I only make friends with people that are, have been in the group for a long time and they're at my level, or these subtle things, they're not that explicit, but like...
No, but I think there are things you can do.
You don't joke around with me. I'm the leader of this group, you know?
Right, but there's also things you can do, and this is my, I call it manipulation, positive manipulation in reverse, you know, okay? Look, I'm a counselor. People come to me for help. I'm going to ask you questions in a positive, manipulated way, meaning I'm going to help you help yourself.
It's positive manipulation isn't always bad.
No, exactly. No, it's for a higher good.
I would call it influence.
Influence, great, and that's a great way. But you can know how do you begin to influence the leaders of a group that are going to help you to engage because of your tendency of being the driver you
fast,
are. Exactly.
A quick
it's
friend.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
Well, and then it's helping people to feel like, okay, wait a minute, this guy's not a threat, you know. So you can ingratiate individuals like that and connect. Well, those are just things that we have to learn about ourselves, because if we learn them, we can become better attuned to the world. If we're better attuned to the world, we can be more powerful leaders.
Mm-hmm. And we can get more of what we want, is that connection.
Because we are the change agents.
Yeah.
That's what we have to
Well, it's
remember.
in our best interest to have the change.
Right.
So we've got to lead it.
And we're going to disrupt it. We're the disruptors. We can be the change agents, but we have to be strong in ourselves to be able to lead that change.
Yeah.
And so if you don't work on yourself and take care of yourself, and that's what I see you doing, being aware and looking at this and writing this article about, I mean, this is huge exposure for you.
Yeah.
Meaning this happened to me, you know?
Yeah.
What if someone from the bike group gets it? And
it is scary,
right?
But this is my life.
Right.
And I want to make lemonade out of these lemons.
Yes, you do.
And I want to help people.
Right.
I want other people that have experienced this to get the benefit of...
Right. You want to help people help themselves.
Yeah. And I want to help myself.
Exactly. And you're doing that by doing this.
Right.
And so you keep folding that into itself.
Heck yeah.
It's great.
The next stage is the conflict and rejection. In this stage, the conflict becomes direct.
The fire.
This is it, baby. This is the direct, public, and painful.
Right.
What had been subtle misattunements and biased interpretations escalate into ad hominem attacks and verbal aggression from community leaders. Instead of addressing behaviors or specific concerns, leaders labeled me as annoying. This was not feedback. It was a personal insult. It targeted my character, not my actions, and it was repeated on multiple occasions.
Yep.
So this conflict and rejection gets to where, like, they're fed up.
Right.
We've had enough, and now our, you know...
And I'm gonna keep going back to the responsibility phase of, like, if you're able to accept that, what happens? Someone's like, you're annoying, and you're like, you're right. I'm annoying. I can be annoying, and I apologize. And if I've gone too far outside the norm and it's going to kick me out of the group, then it won't be the first group I've burned out.
That's
so
right.
I love you. I care about you, and I'm off to my life, and I'm still love who I am. But if you don't leave powerfully like that in that kind of situation when someone's attacking you, it's the hardest thing to do when you're under direct threat. How do you maintain balance internally? I mean, that is a very high order in the brain of the human being.
It really is.
It can be attained, but it takes a lot of internal strength building. I talk about, you use your imagination, safe places.
You got to know yourself.
Really, but you got to know yourself to the core. This is where in your entire life history, right? Your most valuable resource.
Yes.
Okay? Go back and scan it. Who were you at 4 years old? And how were you powerful, and who are you now? Because if you got your ass kicked at 4 years old, all right, and you were totally disrupted in your life, okay, then you were lifting 2-ton weights your entire life. Your resilience is damn strong.
You got good resilience.
But if you don't own that what happened to you is at 4 years old, and just say, hey, I get it. The world didn't understand me. They gave me everything against me, and it's just really dug my constitution in. All right, well, here I am now. Now I'm a powerful leader because when I was 4, I got my ass kicked, and that wasn't okay with me. And so I took it as strength, and now I'm using it.
Yeah, this is the difference between carrying your past on your back,
Yes.
weighing you down,
Yes.
or putting it on the ground in front of you and standing up on top of it and seeing better.
Yes.
Having better vantage point.
Yes. Or taking pieces of it and teaching others with it.
Yeah.
Or showing them this is what I went through and this is who. So that
This is what I learned through the journey.
I was a horribly disruptive little 5-year-old man. I threw tantrums, but that tantrum throwing 5-year-old that I was is all the passion I have for ADHD today and the leader I am.
We got to own our history.
Absolutely. But when you own it, it's power.
It's power.
Okay? Because otherwise their mental energy leaks.
That's hard because around that history, we probably have the noise of other people's interpretation.
We do.
Of all those negative social cues, of all of the feedback we got from the world that we weren't okay, that we were wrong, that we needed to change, that we were lazy, that all these things are stuck to this history. And we have to almost go back there with a barnacle scraper or a chisel or something and clean it up.
Magic wand. I'll use a magic wand.
Whatever we got, hocus pocus, you know. Let's give our own interpretation, our own story. This is high level reframe that allows us to see ourselves in a positive light, so that we can grow and learn and have that power you're talking about.
And I may have talked about this before in our last podcast, that I call that the mining the gems of your life history.
We talked about it.
Okay, so how do you go back with experience, strength, hope, wisdom, knowledge, and pull it? Because then you can become a powerful person. But we will talk about, it is enormously challenging when you're at this conflict stage, when you're at the direct piece where someone's attacking you and you're annoying and they're personally calling you out. It's hard.
This is where you get the benefits of having done that work. You can't do that work in that moment.
No.
This is where you get the benefits of a lifetime of doing this work.
And this is also where, when you have failure in these places and you do get kicked out of groups, that it's fodder.
It's okay.
Because you go back and say, oh, okay, yep, did it again. Here we go. And this is where we're learning from failure. This is where we're taking it and we're doing something from it.
Let's see what they talk about here, or what I put in here. Goodness, I had fun with this.
You did.
Scapegoating.
Oh, yeah.
And the need for a target.
Right.
Communities under stress often look for a single person to blame.
Yep.
Renee Girard's theory of the scapegoat mechanism explains how groups maintain cohesion by projecting conflict onto an individual, who is then punished or excluded to restore the appearance of harmony.
Yes.
This dynamic is particularly damaging when the targeted person is neurodivergent. Differences in communication style, social cue interpretation, or behavioral regulation can make ADHD and neurodivergent members more likely to be seen as problematic, regardless of intent, reinforcing feelings of being othered and unworthy. I think the scapegoating thing is real.
Well, it's super real, and the challenge is it's a victimization of someone that actually stops growth of a group.
For the whole group.
Right.
Instead of looking at it, I think of it on the personal level, like if it's just one person. When we feel an emotion, right, we got some choices. We can go smoke marijuana. We can go drink alcohol. We can go, we can go running. We can meditate. But I think the highest value response to that is to be with the emotion. I guess I get this from Buddhism and meditation practices. Be with that emotion. What does that emotion want? What does it say? What's going on there?
Exactly. Talk to it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because that allows it to move.
And for you to learn and grow from it. Understand it. Understand yourself.
And understand that our feeling states are our most powerful neurochemistry that are leading us as a radar system our entire life.
Heck yeah, that's intuition.
Pay attention.
Pay attention to it. And so I think this, when applied to a group, is the scapegoat is one of these we just want out of this discomfort.
I get it. Right. And so the powerful...
just want out. Instead of sitting with it and saying, what's going on here? What's really going on under the hood?
Right. And some people have tolerance for that, and some people don't want to.
Most people probably don't.
Well, they don't because they want to live by default.
Well, it's complex.
It is complex.
You have like 5 or 6 people
but we're
with their
complex.
histories. We are.
But think about how much it's sad to me because how much does a person lose the real juice of their life because they're living by default?
Yeah.
They just lose the beauty in so many ways, and the drive and all the nuances of the adventure. And that's a choice someone can make. I keep working at not being in default, consciously being, because in this case, okay, you get scapegoated. Again, we go back to this power source, your ability to be able to tell the group as you leave, I understand you're scapegoating me.
Yeah.
I understand
Speak
I'm the
to it.
problem.
Say the quiet part out loud.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I see that you believe that I'm the problem. I also saying that there's a norm here that's missing, okay? And I would love to resolve it. And that may not be the case. You may not be willing to resolve it, to find a new norm, a new way of being, but you could. I'm telling you, you could. So you put the possibility, the potential on the table if you leave it, because if you do that, it forces actually.
They'll churn on it a little bit.
They cannot not.
Yeah.
Because
don't think about a purple elephant,
Right.
You've basically said like, hey, there's this purple elephant.
And that's why you're doing it, because you stay your power. Right.
Yeah.
And
I'm honoring this thing that's happening.
Right.
But I'm inviting contemplation.
Absolutely.
Inviting some other possibility.
Right. Because I will guarantee you there was someone else in the group either feeling similar feelings you felt, or felt disenfranchised, or felt like the power hierarchy was too out of balance in that group, and they didn't have the courage to say it.
We do. ADHD folks will say things.
We will. We will call things on the carpet. We will take the curtains and rip them back.
We will say it. We will say the dang thing.
It's our responsibility if we rip back those curtains to stay in front of them and say, I know I ripped back the curtains and I know this is intense right now and it's hard to see.
Yeah.
But hang with me. We can get through this.
Yeah.
That's the challenge sometimes.
Be the leader there, which is a through line for this discussion.
Oh, it is.
I love this.
It is.
It's through line.
Well, because it's what you're doing here.
Yeah. We need to be leaders.
Absolutely.
The next level is exclusion.
Yep.
The exclusion began subtly before any formal meetings. My messages to the group went unanswered. I would ask if anybody was riding on Tuesday or share when a leader gave me a jersey and no one replied. Reflecting on these moments, I recognize them as early forms of covert exclusion or ghosting, a passive signal that I was being marginalized even before any direct confrontation. Yeah, when like you say something in a group thread and no one responds, it's like, what's up?
Yeah.
What's going on here?
Well, you know what's going on here. Your intuition's telling you. Exclusion's starting to happen.
Yeah, you're getting excluded.
It's clear. You're being divided out of the group.
Yeah.
And again, your ability to be powerful with that.
So the exclusion, these passive signals that you're starting to receive or not receive. Exclusion comes in, it's silent. It's what doesn't happen.
Well, true.
Right?
True. It's the ghosting. It's the non-returning things. And so exclusion becomes
not laughing when you make a joke.
It's very pointed, right? You can feel that you get the interrelatedness of being of the group has changed.
Yeah.
You're no longer interrelating, okay? Yep. You're being pushed out, and you can feel it, and you can feel it quickly. And it says, I still hold groups responsible. It's like, come on. Early on, stop the ghosting, stop the, someone be brave enough to sit down with Phil and talk to him and say, hey, let's get you a buddy. That's what we need on the neurodivergent space is like acceptance, understanding of like, okay, wait a minute. We can play in certain ways. We're going to help people grow, but not if someone's not willing to help us help ourselves.
Yeah. I'm going to talk a little about the psychology of ostracism.
Oh, yeah.
Research shows that social exclusion activates the same neural pathways as physical pain. specifically the anterior cingulate cortex and anterior insula. This means being kicked out is not merely an intellectual loss, it is felt somatically, with real distress signals. ADHD individuals may experience this even more acutely because of the rejection sensitivity dysphoria,
Right.
a phenomenon characterized by extreme emotional pain in response to perceived or real rejection.
Right.
So, man, ostracization is a physical
Well,
thing.
you're internally getting hit.
Yeah.
Is what it feels like.
Yeah.
And there's a chemistry to that when you're ostracized, it's like being hit.
Yes.
You know, it's like being hit physically with something. And that sensitivity and that pain is very real. And without running into the victimization of people with, ADD, there's something wrong with them, all this other crap that goes on with it. The reality is, can we have some compassion for that?
Yeah.
Can we have some understanding and kindness?
Empathy.
That, okay, these people are 10 feet tall and every doorway is not made for them. They have to duck under it and they're going to whack their head every time.
Yeah.
Can we just have some compassion that says, hey, I get that. That must be challenging. We don't. We get the difference and the deference and all these other pieces, and we get our asses kicked and we get ostracized, and it's painful.
It's painful.
Horribly painful,
Because I have a deep desire and drive to connect with people.
Well, we all do. But
Yeah, we all do.
But that may be one of your superpowers based on who you are, your
Yeah.
ability to connect.
Yeah.
It's why you're doing what you're doing now, because you're connecting yourself and connecting other people and giving them something to live for and live from.
Yeah.
It's okay, but when you get ostracized, and to me, again, it goes back to the leaders of the group. That's not okay. We don't ostracize anyone in this group. Who the hell do you think you are? It's like, where are our leaders not standing up to that?
Yeah.
I mean, that's BS. That someone in that, but it happens all the time everywhere because people are still living out of power and greed and money and all this other crap instead of compassion and kindness and care and connection.
Yeah, y'all have been, there's people out there that are watching this that have been kicked out of groups or felt that ostracization. This is not
It's
unique
horrible.
to me or James.
No.
Or even to ADHD folks.
No.
Everybody experiences these things.
Right.
And I think it's important that we talk about it.
It is, because that talking about it again opens it. It allows it to move. It allows that emotion to be validated
Yes.
and understood.
Yes.
And it can flow.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Any other science here that I wrote about? Let's see, I wrote about, let's see, perceived betrayal and relational rupture, which I think is important. A core pain point in stage 5 is the shattering of assumptions about friendship and mutual care. Which you talked about. Like in this group, we don't ostracize.
Right.
We figure things out. We don't call people out. We call people in.
Right.
That type of thing. Neurodivergent individuals may fast track people into their inner circle, which we talked about.
Yes.
Granting trust earlier than neurotypical peers.
Right.
When those trusted figures deliver exclusion, the result can feel like relational betrayal,
Yep.
evoking a trauma-like response.
Yep.
Research on betrayal trauma shows that exclusion from a valued group can create symptoms resembling post-traumatic stress,
Yep.
intrusive memories, hypervigilance, and difficulty trusting future groups. The sense of ambush, being called into a meeting without context, exacerbates the stress response as the brain shifts into a fight or flight state.
Yep.
So all this is to say, this is hard.
It is, and it's laying open the perspective that this is incredibly challenging.
It's
for us.
challenging,
And
yeah.
it's one of the biggest places because you just take a space of compassion. If you're onslaughted with this your entire life,
Yeah.
okay, you understand. I think there's a good reason why 70-80% of neurodivergency, if you look just at the ADHD spectrum, is undiagnosed. Why is that? I'm not going to go get a diagnosis. I'm not strong enough to get one. I'm underperforming. I'm underliving my life. That should be an alarm in our society that says, where the hell are these millions of people? Because it's a huge leak. It's a huge disruption.
Yeah.
Because it's happening. They're being ostracized. It is post-traumatic stress. They're living it. They're living they're living a war-torn life inside.
There's an opportunity for them to better understand themselves.
Absolutely.
And to ask for some accommodations, or at least to inform folks about
just consideration.
Just to normalize some things.
Yes. Compassion, consideration of things. This is why things like, your paper here really outline it. But the reality is, it's just real. It's hard to read that kind of paper. Not that it's not important. It's horribly important, but it's like you read it and you go, oh my gosh, it's just right here.
Yeah, it's right here. On to stage 6, withdrawal, grief, and meaning making. Because you step back from that, after that exclusion, you're by yourself. It's like if you broke up with a partner, you've got this void in your life.
Yeah.
That group was filling a void for you.
Sure.
Social nurturance, activity, physical exercise.
What if it wasn't a void? What if it was just a natural need?
Yeah. It's filling a need.
It is. Right. And it's a real need. It's not a real need. It's not
you need to connect with people.
Right. It's not a contrived one.
No.
It's not something I'm trying to I liked it. And unfortunately, groups don't understand the power with which they have for that goodbye.
Yeah.
Had that group been able to say their goodbyes to you, this is our norms, you don't fit, we love you, we care about you, but it's not going to work.
Breaking up is hard to do.
Yes, but if it's done well, it's at least done with understanding. You're still going to have grief.
You'll have grief. You'll mourn the loss.
Yes, but the meaning-making piece, I can't say enough about that.
This is important.
Right, because the meaning-making piece is where you drive your life from.
Yes.
This is where you rewrite your story.
This is a Viktor Frankl. This is what determines whether or not you find gold in this experience, how you move forward.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it'll put you on a different side of the brain. It'll put you in that thriving piece of the brain where life becomes interesting and meaningful, and you want to be able to do that. But the making meaning piece is a critical one because it's what we're going to live our life by. It's our life story. And it's important not to get stuck in grief, right? It's easy to get stuck in grief. I'm so pissed off, I'm going to stay pissed off.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so depressed.
Yeah.
I'm so dissociated or shock. I'm stuck in the shock and the awe of what
This
happened.
is probably where you have those 10 stages, right? There's the 10 stages.
There was 5 stages initially.
Okay.
Right? That was
right where you don't believe it.
Right.
You get angry
about it. You get depressed about it. You play
is
the
it
what
5
if
stages?
Yeah, you play the what if game.
Yeah, what if this happened? How could I have done it differently?
Right. But at the end of it, you get resolution from an acceptance point of view. Okay, this did happen. This is what is happening. I think the sooner you can do that, the better.
Heck yeah.
But this is where I think from stage 1, if you're really going to learn to powerfully manage your ADHD, you understand yourself, you walk into a group, you know the risk factors of who you are and how you are, and you start to address those early on. So you start making meaning of a situation at the beginning. It's not that you're looking to be disrupted or divided from that group at the end.
Yeah.
But you're trying to help understand. And so to me, that's all part of meaning making, is this learning loop that says, what am I going to take into the next space in a powerful way?
It says, I wrote here, integrating the personal and the systemic. Meaning making in this stage is not just about self-reflection, but about recognizing systemic gaps.
Mm-hmm.
Your insight that the group was skilled at bike mechanics but lacked systems for human repair is critical.
Right.
Healthy communities require intentional cultivation of clear norms and behavioral expectations,
Yeah.
feedback mechanisms, and opportunities for dialogue and repair. So that's something that's probably pretty healthy to recognize. Hey, these guys are good at riding bikes, but they might not be great at leading,
Right.
healthy communities and calling people in and and that's okay.
It is okay. It's also something for you in making meaning of your own life and knowing that you appreciate and love the idea of connection with other people.
Yeah.
That is where your strength is. So even if you go into a bike group's going to have norms within the group. How could you start teaching them about the norms of that group in subtle ways early on that influence the space?
Yeah.
So you just now become a leader.
Yeah.
So that's what I would encourage you to take into the space going forward is like, okay, I like helping people understand how we connect and relate in ways that are meaningful. So with a bike group, it doesn't have to be overly psychological or other. It can be because we're all going through it.
We're all going through it.
And you can be fascinated by it. So you can bring that in as a teaching tool, as a piece that says this is fascinating. Where you could go in and say, okay, I notice that I'm riding in the front all the time, and I'm not sure. Tell me the group norm on that. How do y'all relate to each other? And so now you're asking them questions. Now you're bringing it in,
allowing them to be leaders.
Absolutely, but also in teachers. But you're helping them include you by including yourself in an area that you have of interest.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But if you don't feel confident about doing that, then you're going to go into the group as a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
And you're just going to be all over the place.
This starts with confidence.
It does.
Okay, I'm a worthy person.
Yeah.
I matter. I will improve this group.
Right. Or
So
I can give you opportunity.
Integrate me.
Right.
So ask questions.
Right. Because the
knowledge.
But I'm telling you, in a writing group based on competitiveness, the sports psychology world of how that's managed, unbelievably important.
Yeah.
To the greatest, groups, and they know it. If they don't manage that diversity or that process in the group, and that could be and likely was to some degree some level of shortcoming in that group. It's okay. It's just what it was. Whether the power source was too out of balance or the intensity of who you were wasn't well understood or normalized or managed or whatever, hopefully they learned something from it, Phil.
Yeah. And I know I did, which takes us to this 7th stage. If it's not the last stage, we'll make it the last stage because I know we're kind of at the end of time. That's this agency and rebranding. Right. And rebranding is synonymous with reframing. And this is part of that agency and reframing.
Absolutely.
Writing this paper is part of this.
Yes,
how do I reflect on this experience? How do I learn and grow?
Right.
How do I let it improve my life and be what you said, mining the gems of your history?
And so for you as a leader is to take that paper, which is the exposing element of what happened.
Yeah.
Now write your sequel. This is who I am now
next?
As a result of it.
That's right.
This is what I've learned. And this is who I am. Yeah. And that's a lot of what I'm doing in my second book on when the shiny wears off. That you want to navigate the lifetime storms of ADHD. You got to be able to own what you're doing, build life history, reframe it, but it becomes something that is a brand. It's something that's a constitution so that people have a map. Because you're holding yourself responsible, as I do as a leader, to say, okay, if I'm going to expose something, how am I going to help someone understand what to do with it?
Yeah.
And that's your next steps in this space. But opening the space and giving people validation, understanding is where we're headed. And that's what you're doing to begin with, Phil.
And you guys can go grab James's first book now, Focus Forward.
Yes. Navigating the Storms of Adult ADD, where I exposed and opened the emotional and mental stress of ADD.
That's right. And then when will the shiny wear off?
You'll be the second national platform. I've set a publication date of 11/11/27.
11/11/27. James loves numbers.
I do love numbers.
He did that for fun.
I did. So much fun.
It.
And I'm going to start opening pre-sales for the book 1 year, about a year, February of 27. I'm going to open pre-sales because that's 11 years after my first book.
Wow. 11/11/27. So we got more than a year. We got like a year and a half, maybe, till this thing's released.
Yeah, I got about 19 months now, 20 months.
That's exciting.
It's super exciting. It's overwhelming and wonderful all at the same time. And I've got some fun perspectives on defining shiny in this book and what it means and for us and how it shows up and what storms are and how to resource them. And a fun part of the back part of the book is how do you develop what's called your assay office, which is how do you know what's fool's gold or real gold in your life? How do you evaluate those things, Phil? And where do you reach your potential? Because we've got to help people with ADHD continue to reach their potential. We are change agents again. You're a change agent.
Yeah.
I'm a change agent. Okay? Let's keep staying busy doing that.
Yeah.
I can't thank you. It's been so much fun. I love my conversations with you.
And you're out there now, right?
Yeah.
You're doing speeches.
I'm
You're
doing
at
speeches.
Conferences.
I'm doing some speeches and conferences,
podcasts.
but I'm working on my the third season of The Complex, which is the
You're doing
fictional-
the Complex?
Yes.
With your son.
Yes. So we're going to get third season next fall. We got the second book coming. I've got groups that I run.
That's right.
I've got my ADHD town halls, which are 6-week webinars that you can come in and ask me any question. I love the big challenging questions. I love using my 36-year brain dealing with ADHD.
Yeah,
It's
you've learned a
crazy.
lot in 36 years.
It's it's more than a lifetime.
And they dial into you at
JamesOchoa.com.
JamesOchoa.com. And that's
Easiest.
Ochoa is spelled
CHOA.
O-A.
Yep.
OCHOA.
Yep.
JamesOchoa.com. And from there, they can kind of find out
There's a map.
all the places.
Yep,
And for a minute, you're out there are you still doing social media blasts and stuff?
I am. I've got
Trying to figure out the reels and stuff?
Yeah.
You're there with
to some
me.
degree. I know. It's just, it's a lot of fun.
I love what you've been putting out there.
Yeah. It's been fun.
Slay HD. Wait, what is it? Slay DHD. Slay DHD.
Yeah, Slay DHD.
Let's go.
How you going to slay it? How are you going to go after it?
Yeah.
Because that's what we're after is how do you stay empowered with this in a way that's super meaningful. So thank you again for having me on,
thank
Phil.
you so
Always.
much. Is there anything you want to close with before we wrap?
Nothing more than just to say, we are some of the most powerful people in the world, and you get that power by being with yourself, for yourself, and by yourself, and learning to build that internal sense of yourself. That's the quest here. Just don't allow people to disenfranchise you. It's just not okay. At the end of the day, come back to yourself and say, all right, I'm getting back up, and it's a new day, and it's an adventure, and my life is so full of stress now, right? It's all positive stress.
Yeah.
Still overwhelmed in so many ways that are beautiful, but I have lots of resources and ways that I take care of myself.
Heck yeah.
So thank you so much, Phil. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Peace. Yeah, this has been Phil Phails at what? Groups. Phil Phails at Exclusion. Phil Phails at Exclusion.
Yeah.
With James Ochoa.
Absolutely.
Third time he's come on the show, and I hope that he'll come back soon. I hope it's not another year and a half, but if it is, that's fine. Whenever you sit in that chair, I'm delighted.
Well, I will certainly get here before the next book comes out. We'll talk about that. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I look forward to getting that book and reading it. We're sharing it with these people.
Absolutely. You will get a signed complimentary copy.
Hell yeah.
It's on camera.
Yeah, brother.
Too.
All right.
All right.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap. Thanks, Phil.
Thank you.
Absolutely.